So I want to make this video talking to a lot of the younger people who are in my audience. And when I say younger, I mean under 25. But I think this video can apply to people who are older than that as well. It's just something that was kind of, in my mind here last couple of days. So I did a video a few weeks ago. I was speaking to them about like being smart with money and being smart financially. And I want to spit some isms here on this video about my own personal life experience and the importance of investing in compound interest. Now, before I go any further, I just want to say that I am not a licensed financial expert by any means. I am not a licensed financial planner, or a licensed investor. I'm not any of those things. I'm not a broker. Just letting you know that ahead of time. This video is going to be mostly my experiences, my personal experiences, coming from a guy who at one time lost it all. 10 years ago, I lost everything, and I've been able to successfully rebuild everything to where now things are better than I could have ever imagined. And you should take that story, of me going from homeless to homeowner, and let it inspire you on those days that you think that there's no way out, and those days that you think there's no chance. You should let that inspire you. At least I hope that it does. I really do, because there were days when I thought I had no way out. I thought I was going to be working a dead-end job for the rest of my life. It happens, but there is a way out, and don't ever forget it. Just work for it. But I want to specifically talk about like investing in compound interest. So I really, when I was younger, and this is a common thing for a lot of us, you don't really know the true value of money until you get like a job and until you have bills to pay, because it comes in and it goes. Living paycheck to paycheck is quite a pain. But what ends up happening is that when you're young and you get your first job, you can be a little irresponsible. And then when you get a job that pays pretty decent money, then you can become very irresponsible. When I was younger and I started making real money, I would spend it on such nonsense. I mean, I would take girls out on dates and spend a lot of money on like food. I would buy a bunch of video games. I would buy, movie tickets. I would just spend money like crazy, and I wasn't really thinking about my future. The idea of retirement, the idea of investing never really crossed my mind, because when you look at the word investing, and when I was younger, that word was usually one that was used to describe very wealthy people. I didn't think that poor people invested. And the reality is that when you're a poor person and you invest, and if you do it correctly, you might end up being one of those wealthy people in time. And that's what I want to talk to y'all about right now. But so when I was a kid, I didn't really think about those things. And I didn't really think about retirement and life after work. And when you turn 59 and a half and whatnot, I didn't really think about those things until I was in my early 30s, late 20s. That's when I really thought about it. And I'm still in my early 30s, but just a few years ago. And it was really a mistake, because even though it might seem like, well, I'm in my 20s, I'm young, I got time, you should take advantage of your youth when it comes to compound interest. Now, when it comes to compound interest, if you're the person who owes money, like, interest is not a good thing if you're the one that owes money. The slave, how does it go? What's that old saying? The borrower is a slave to the lender. You know what I mean? If you owe money and you have to pay interest, it sucks. It sucks bad. Whether it be a car loan, a house loan, a credit card, you're losing money essentially. But that's part of borrowing money. You have to pay it back with interest. Now, if you're the one getting money from interest, it's a different story, because you can obviously become wealthy. And that's how the rich stay richer and the poor stay poor in some cases, is they, banks and institutions like that rarely have financial problems because of how much money they make on the back end of interest and other investments, of course. But, these are companies. As a regular person, a sole proprietor is the way I would define myself and other people. How do you get ahead? Well, the thing is, one of the mistakes I made is not investing when I was young. So, instead of going out there and spending money on like a $250 pair of shoes, or buying a PS4 Pro when you've already got a PS4, like, instead of spending money on these things that might seem like they are things you need, they're not things you need. First of all, You don't need any of those things. And of course, you should spend the money on however you feel like it. But think about this, though. With interest, with compound interest, if you start investing, the younger you start investing, the more you can take advantage of compound interest. Because I invested in, when I was, I think 29 is when I first started investing. I believe it was 29. And prior to that, anytime I was offered like a 401k, I would always deny it because I needed more money in my pocket. Well, think about this. If you, in your 20s, put aside $100 every month, right? Just $100. Obviously, you can save more, but let's start simple. $100 a month. And if you can't do that, $50 a month, whatever you can put aside, and then put some of that money into a good growth stock mutual fund that has a history of, high percentages, high returns, or even medium returns. As long as they're returns, good returns. When you do it when you're younger, you can take advantage of compound interest more, so you don't have to do it when you're older. So if you put down $10,000 when you're 20, let's just say, I'm using a simple number here, it's going to be worth more than if I put it down when I'm 30, because you've got that extra 10 years of time for it to grow. When it comes to something like a Roth IRA, you're allowed to take money from it, well, anytime you want to, but there's penalties. However, if you put money into a Roth IRA, which is an individual retirement account, and I'm not going to go into all of this in detail here because this is not a financial video, it's just something to think about. So if you put money in an IRA, you don't pay taxes on that money as it's growing on the interest. And if you take it out, obviously you'll pay taxes on it, but if you do it when you're 59 and a half, you get it tax free. Now, think about that. When you have $10,000, you don't really have $10,000. You have about, let's say, $7,000 because of taxes. You got to pay the IRS a chunk of that money every time. And that's, of course, it's give or take. Again, we're using basic numbers here because I don't want to go into every tax bracket. I don't want to do that right now. That's not what this video is about. What this video is about is just a very simple concept. Getting $10,000 when you're 59 and a half and it's tax free, you're getting 10 G's. You're not getting 7 G's. See what I'm saying? And if you have the extra 10 years of compound interest, the interest is building on top of itself. That's why it's called compound interest. So you're making money, you're making your returns on that investment for an additional 10 years. Now, the key is you should not stop investing, no matter if the market goes up, if it goes down, as long as you have, if it goes down, you should actually invest more, because usually that means that it's going to be cheaper. You buy low, you sell high. But again, I'm not going into all that right here. The concept, okay, because you can do your own research on this. I'm not going to give people like specific stocks to buy. I'm not doing that here. Like I said, this is just a basic concept of compound interest. Is if you invest when you're younger, more interest will compound on itself, and it'll be worth a heck of a lot more money. And in fact, if you realistically, even with a lower return long term, this is of course long term planning. This is not short term get rich quick. This is long term so that you have money when you retire. And it's important because my dad did not have a retirement plan. He was on Social Security, and he was making from Social Security about $800 a month. Now, I don't know about where y'all live, but where I live, $800 a month can't pay for nothing. $800 a month, you might as well live in the poorhouse. And my dad never invested in retirement. He never did that, and he wound up suffering for it because he wasn't making any money. He lived with me for a while. Then he went to a really cheap home with a roommate. Then he went to like a care home when he got really sick, a hospice home. You know what I mean? He's been around, but it would have been so much better if he had money saved up, if he had investments. That way, when he turned 59, boom, 59 and a half, excuse me, he could have gotten that money and just lived happily and gone on vacations. And it really sucks when you're like old and you have to still work. Like, I always look at old people that are working, and it makes me feel bad because they've worked all their life, right? You work all your life. Think about this for a minute. You work for what, 45 years of your life, 40 years of your life, and you have nothing to show for it when you're done working. It's not even fair, and it's BS. But the thing is, no one's going to hold your hand on this. So I think investing for retirement is very important. And I feel like the younger you start, the better. And I'm not saying you got to spend all your money and throw it into an IRA account or throw it into a 401k. I'm not saying that. But if you take a little bit, the younger you are, the better, because every day, every year, every month counts as growth. See what I'm saying? You have more time. Investing for retirement when you're in your 40s and 50s, I mean, you only got a few years to capitalize on those returns. But with the way that things go, investing when you're younger, you have more time. And really, when you analyze the research, you don't want to be one of these people that has no money at retirement. You want to have something. You want to have enough money so that when you're 60, you don't have to work unless you want to work, or at least you only work a part-time job or something like that. Because Social Security might not be around, and even if it is, what good's it going to be if you're making $800, $900, or $1,000 a month from the government? That's not even fair. And plus, it's not really the government. It's your money that you worked for all your life. You know what I mean? So it's one of those things where I'm very pro planning for retirement, even though you might not think about it. You might be young. You might be more focused on getting girls and, I got to make more money so I can buy nicer clothes. No, that's dumb. That's very immature mentality, because think about it. What good is it buying clothes, like nice clothes, expensive clothes? If you buy a pair of Jordans, right, all you're going to get from people is, ooh, Jordans, those are nice. That's it. It ain't going to make you any less broke. In fact, it'll make you more broke. So people, I think, spend too much time, and this might be a different video, focusing on what others think about them when it comes to the way they look and their aesthetic appeal, as opposed to actually thinking about their future. Because those Jordan shoes that you buy are going to, if you wear them a lot, they're not going to be any good in about a year, maybe a couple years. That's why, if you're a collector, it's one thing, but if you're just buying them for show, why? When you can buy a cheaper brand and just use them just as effectively and take that money you would have spent on the Jordans and invest it. And then hell, when you retire, you can buy any Jordan you want if you have enough money. You could actually retire a millionaire. You can legitimately retire a millionaire if you invest money young enough and consistent enough with compound interest over time, especially if you start investing more and more. When you start making real money in your 20s and 30s and 40s, you could end up retiring a very, very wealthy person. But people don't do that. They're always thinking about now and not in the future. So I encourage you to do your own research. I could do a whole video on exactly what Roth IRAs are and all this stuff, annuities. I actually was licensed as a life, health, and variable annuities sales. I forgot what the actual word was. Agent, I guess it was, about 11 years ago or so. But even after that, when I went through my crisis, when I went through my homelessness, I did a lot of research on this. So I could do video upon video upon video on IRAs and all this stuff, 401ks and retirement. But I just want to give you the simple concept of think about retirement when you're in your 20s, because it's going to be beneficial. And even if you're not thinking about retirement, investing, even if it's just in a mutual fund for 15, 20 years, let's say it's a bridge account and you're not going for retirement, even that to me is a good thing, because then you'll have money that's growing. Because if it's in your money market account, you're getting 0.0001% returns and you're just wasting the money in there. But if it's in an investment account, you have much higher returns. I have mutual funds that return 8%, 12%, 7.5%. I got all kinds of returns, annually. And it grows and grows and grows and grows and grows. And ultimately, you're going to get all that money back, and then with interest, and then some with interest, compound interest, as you get closer to retirement, or maybe even sooner than that. I mean, again, if you max out your retirement and you want to do another investment for a short-term mutual fund or whatever, you can do that as well. The world is yours. The concept behind this video is, if you're young, instead of thinking about what the next big toy you're going to get is going to be, think about investing that money in something that's going to be beneficial later, because it will be beneficial later, because you're going to you don't understand how good compound interest is. You can become a very rich man, very rich woman with compound interest over time, and most millionaires don't even inherit their money like people think. Most basic millionaires, I'm not talking about multi or billionaires, I'm about just basic millionaires, a lot of them make it through investments, real estate, retirement. Retirement's different, but real estate, stocks, all these different things, mutual funds. But just want to put that bug in your ear. So that's it for this Speakdom. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you're thinking about, looking into this more and saving up for your future, because it really, I mean, it's sweet, bro, when you can retire and not have to work. You got your Social Security, whatever amount that is, and you have your own little private stash of money. You can take trips, you can go on vacations, you can do whatever you want. Enjoy your post-work life. It's a pretty sweet feeling, and I hope to be there someday. I've got a lot of investments in retirement right now, and if I keep this up, I'll be good, and I want other people. I'll be really good, trust me, and I want other people to feel the same. So thanks, and talk to you soon.